Imagine a perfect summer night. You know the kind. Warm breeze, sky full of stars, that feeling like anything could happen. Now, what if that perfect scene just takes a turn, a really chilling, inexplicable turn? What if the most ordinary moment flips into something deeply unsettling and you're just left with questions? So many questions. Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through, well, all sorts of fascinating sources to pull out those crucial bits of knowledge, those insights. Today, we're diving into three distinct, true accounts, summer night experiences that just... they don't have easy explanations. They stick with you. These aren't just ghost stories, you know? They're like windows into how we grapple with ambiguity, with the unseen, the stuff that really shakes us. So our mission today, explore these personal stories, find the common threads, maybe vulnerability, the psychological hit of the unknown. Maybe think about why some mysteries, well, maybe they're better left unsolved, or perhaps just observed. Our material, it comes from some really compelling first-person narratives shared online. Each one details a separate, chilling encounter on what seemed like a totally normal summer night. Let's dig in. Okay, first up, we begin with Chris. He was just 17 that summer, working nights at this pizza place way out on the edge of his hometown. And Chris, well, he wasn't exactly loving this job. He kind of described it as, you know, the place you work because nothing else is hiring.
Right, the classic teenage summer gig.
Exactly. Shifts were slow, the uniforms were kind of sticky. You know, old cheese, sauce, grim, and the delivery car. Beat up, barely made it up hills without this terrifying shudder. Plus, the pizza itself. Chris was very clear. He said it was god-awful, like genuinely terrible.
He really couldn't understand why people ordered it.
No clue. He said he still can't fathom why anyone would order from there. It was the thing he missed least about his hometown, apparently. So, because the pizza was so bad, or maybe the location was just too remote, or both, most nights were just dead quiet. Really, just a mundane, often boring job. But then, one night, things change. The tablet buzzes, online order, a large sausage and olive pizza.
Olives? You remember the olives?
Yeah, distinctly. Because apparently they never got orders for olives. It was super rare, so it just stuck in his mind. The address, though, that was the real kicker. It was way out there. Middle of nowhere, he said, past the edge of their delivery zone.
Oh, okay. So normally a no-go?
Right. Chris was already thinking, nope, gotta reject this. You know, you gotta know your limits, especially when you're paid by the run. But his manager, Russell, this 30-something guy who mostly sat in the back scrolling through Reddit, Russell just tells him, take it. Said they hadn't had a single run in over an hour. And Chris, honestly, he just wanted to avoid folding pizza boxes, anything to kill 30, 40 minutes.
Beat the boredom.
Totally. So he didn't argue, figured, okay, fine. But as he's heading out, he looks closer at the delivery instructions. Russell printed them out, stapled them to the box, and this is where it starts to get weird. The instructions read, word for word, park on the street behind the house, walk through the backyard, knock on the back door only.
Wait, back door only? That immediately sets off alarm bells.
Right.
That's not just unusual. It sounds like someone's trying to be, well, unseen. Or maybe something else is going on.
Exactly. And Chris, you know, 17-year-old brain, desperate to just get the job done, escape the boredom, he starts rationalizing. It's like, okay, maybe it's an old person, doesn't want the front doorbell startling them.
Or renovations.
Yeah, or front entrance is under renovation, back door's the only way in. He even thought, maybe, you know, are they hiding this pizza from a spouse or a parent?
A sneaky pizza.
Right. For a teenager, any of those seemed plausible, or at least better than folding more boxes. He really convinced herself it could have been any number of things. Pushed down that little bit of unease, decided, okay, just do my job.
Yeah.
But the second he steps outside, those second thoughts came rushing back hard. He described it as one of those summer nights that felt like walking through soup. Just hot, humid,
That's right.
completely still.
That heavy air.
Yeah, like being stuck in some kind of invisible jelly, unmoving. And the smell. He hated this smell. The stale, sour smell you get when it's really humid and still out. Sort of like old plastic and sun-baked dirt. You know that smell?
Yeah. Distinctly unpleasant.
So the drive itself starts feeling unnerving. He's not heading towards downtown, towards the lights. He's going the exact opposite direction, deeper into the countryside. Empty roads, stretching out. It's supposed to be like 25 minutes. Felt way longer.
Time stretching out.
Yeah, houses got fewer and farther between, just fields, dark tree lines. When he finally gets there, the GPS takes him onto this skinny little side street that ran parallel to a set of backyards. No street lights, no porch lights on any of the houses, just all shadows, pitch black, and the house itself looked totally dead. No lights inside, no cars, nothing. Just this sagging backyard with overgrown grass and a rickety wooden fence that didn't even close all the way. Looked neglected.
I exactly
welcoming. Not at all. But okay, he's following instructions. Parks on the gravel shoulder, pizza in one hand, phone flashlight in the other, walks up this little incline towards the back door. It was an old white one, small glass pane at the top, covered by a cheap yellowish curtain. Knocks once, nothing, just silence. Knocks again, louder this time, starting to worry about Russell being mad if he comes back empty-handed.
The manager back at the shop.
Right. Still no answer. He's about to knock a third time, and then he sees it. The curtain. It moved. Not a lot, he said. Just this tiny little twitch like someone brushed it with their finger.
Whoa, okay.
Fast. Barely noticeable, but it definitely moved. So he just stands there for a few seconds thinking, okay, someone's clearly right there waiting for them to open the door. The air felt, I don't know, thick.
Tense.
Very tense. But then the situation gets even stranger. Totally interrupts this silent standoff. Two unmarked cars, dark sedans, just pull up silently onto the side street behind his delivery car. Headlights off.
Unmarked cars. Okay, this is escalating.
Yeah. His first thought, oh crap, I'm going to get in trouble for trespassing, adrenaline surge. A guy gets out of one car, doesn't say anything, just motions Chris over. Chris actually thought for a second, oh, maybe this is the guy who ordered the pizza, just beat me home.
Reasonable assumption, maybe.
But as he gets closer, he sees the man is flashing me something in his hand. It was a badge. He was an undercover police officer, just wearing normal clothes, shirt, jeans.
Okay, definitely not the pizza customer.
Definitely not. The officer, low voice, firm, just says, head back to my car and wait there. That's it. No explanation, just the order. So Chris goes back to his beat-up car and watches. More officers get out, maybe 5, maybe more from both cars. All had flashlights, but none of them said a word. They moved stealthily. It was weirdly quiet, almost choreographed.
Like a planned operation unfolding?
Exactly. They fanned out, circled the house like they were trying not to be seen, and none of them knocked or announced themselves. Chris found that really strange. Added to the whole surreal vibe. It was a pretty bizarre sight, he said. Like watching a movie, but he was somehow in it. He even saw one officer go up to that same back door, the one he'd just knocked on. Gently tried the handle.
The one with the twitching curtain.
The very same. When it didn't open, the officer just nodded to another cop and backed off, resumed their silent circle. Chris felt like he was watching something I wasn't supposed to see,
It's forbidden ground.
Absolutely, caught in the middle of something serious.
Yeah. Eventually, that first officer comes back to Chris's car, crouches down by the window, lets out this short sigh, looking at the pizza box, still sitting there. The explanation he gave was super vague.
Understandable, maybe, from their perspective. Maybe he just said there was an ongoing investigation involving that property, and they were staking it out. Offered this quick, kind of automatic apology for the delay. Said Chris pulled up the exact time they were repositioning their vehicles.
Repositioning, right, convenient timing.
Right. Chris, still processing, offers the order, details the app, phone number, address, the name Jerry. The officer takes the number down, then just says, leave immediately. Total finality in his voice. Chris tries to mention his boss being out all this time for nothing, but the officer just shrugs, repeats, leave immediately, unwavering stare.
No room for argument.
None. So Chris, pissed off, but obviously not arguing, starts his car, drives off, leaving the shadowed house, the silent cops, the whole weird scene behind him. The gravel crunches, he pulls away, but his mind is just racing, replaying everything. The creepy house, the weird instructions, that tiny curtain twitch, and the silent cops appearing.
So many unanswered questions.
Exactly. Was it drugs? Something worse. He looks at the pizza next to him, this bizarre souvenir of the night, keeps checking his mirror, half expecting to see those cars following him, demanding answers or arresting him for who knows what.
But nothing.
Just the empty, dark road. It took the whole ride back for it to really sink in, the gravity of it. Chris realized if the police hadn't intervened when they did, something awful could have happened.
He was potentially walking right into danger.
Yeah. He figures the threat of the police was probably the only reason the person didn't open the door. But still, why order pizza if you know cops are outside? Did they know? Was he somehow bait?
Bait to test the police presence on that side.
That's what he wondered. The curtain twitch, the silence, the timing, it all just hangs there, unanswered. He concludes, I will never get an explanation for what happens, and that thinking about it is mostly a waste of time. He even admits he probably would have forgotten about it if a friend hadn't brought it up recently. He didn't even remember it at first.
Wow. That's telling, isn't it? The way the mind tries to bury something so unsettling and unresolved, and this whole idea of being bait or an unwitting pawn, that's deeply disturbing. It's not just witnessing something strange, it's being used within it. It fundamentally challenges our sense of agency, that feeling that we're in control of our own movements, our own narrative. Turns out, sometimes you're just a prop in someone else's very dangerous play.
A prop. That's a chilling way to put it. It completely strips away your feeling of control. And the vagueness from the police repositioning vehicles, you think that was just standard procedure, or was there something genuinely unexplainable even to them?
It's likely a mix, right? Law enforcement needs operational security, so vagueness is standard. But for Chris, that lack of a clear story becomes the lasting psychological impact. It's that gap, that ambiguity that lets the unsettling possibilities fester. Was he bait? Was the person inside testing things? That's far more disturbing than a clear, even if scary, explanation. It leaves the door wide open.
Okay, so if Chris's story was about an unknown danger outside spilling in, our next story flips that. It brings the unknown right inside the most sacred space. This one comes from Jordan's dad. He's 40, married, 2 young boys, 7 and 5. Works in insurance.
Stable life.
Yeah, he says it sounds boring because it is, but we're stable and that's all I care about.
Nah.
A couple of years back, his father passed away from cancer, left him a beach house in Delaware. He'd actually never been there before. His dad always rented it out. It's nothing flashy or big, he says, but it's in a fantastic spot just 1 block off the boardwalk. His favorite part, the upstairs back deck that provides a really nice view of the ocean. Perfect spot to unwind.
Sounds idyllic.
Totally. This house, this unexpected gift from his dad, it became their little family tradition, their escape. The boys loved it. Spent hours on end playing on the beach, riding bikes, exploring the town, just pure summer joy. So, this story happens last summer, mid-July. They're there Sunday through Friday. It's a clear Wednesday night. Perfect beach evening. The boys are wiped out from the day, asleep by 9:30. Jordan's dad and his wife. They're on that back deck, playing cards, sipping wine, just enjoying the quiet, the sea breeze. Picture perfect.
Setting the scene for something to go wrong.
Exactly. The first sign, it comes from their older son, Jordan. He comes out onto the deck looking really uneasy, face all scrunched up with worry. Tells his dad he keeps hearing a scratching noise in his room and it's keeping him awake.
Scratching. Okay.
Dad's first thought, probably what most parents think. It's an old house, probably just generic house sounds, creaks, groans, whatever.
Yep.
So he tells his wife, hang tight. Goes to check it out. Figures, no need to wake up the younger one, Scott. He follows Jordan downstairs. House is quiet, just the distant ocean sound. Jordan points to the wall near his bed, motions for his dad to be quiet, eyes wide. For the first, 20 seconds, silence. But Jordan's dad waits, wants to show his son he believes him, right? Validate the fear.
Good parenting.
And then he hears it, faint at first, but definitely there. A soft scratching sound. Just like Jordan described.
Right.
Rhythmic, persistent, not like the house settling. He crouches down, presses his ear to the wall. It doesn't sound like it's in the attic or the floorboards. It sounds like it's inside the wall.
Inside.
Yeah, lower down and closer to the baseboards, horribly close. And then he hears the thing that just freezes his blood. He hears him breathing. Not an animal, definitely not. It was deep, slow human breathing, undeniable, chillingly close. He said he just flinched back, yanked his head away like the wall was hot, let out this sharp Jesus, woo! And immediately after he says that, the most guttural and angry scream I've ever heard ring out from somewhere inside the wall.
A scream from inside the wall.
Yeah. Primal. Full of rage, echoed through the quiet house. Caught him totally off guard, he yelled out again. Just hit by this wave of existential dread, cold and absolute.
I can't even imagine.
Pure survival instinct kicks in. Only thought, protect the family, get out. Grabs Jordan by the arm, yanked him out of the room, runs down the hall to get Scott, the younger one, still asleep, doesn't even wake him, just scooped him up in my arms and ran. Scott just dead weight in his arms. He needs to get back upstairs. Back to the deck, to his wife, to the open air. As they hit the bottom of the stairs, he yells for her, voice totally raw with terror. And then another scream from somewhere behind me, only much closer this time.
Closer.
That's the terrifying part. It signifies movement, impossible movement. He turns around and sees a man covered in filth, charging down the hallway straight at us.
Oh my God.
Just a nightmare figure, gaunt, wild eyes, clothes torn, caked in dirt. He almost trips on the stairs, juggling both kids, but they make it. Up onto the deck, just in time, slams the sliding glass door shut. Not even 2 seconds later, the man hit the glass full force. A sickening thud. He thought it was going to shatter right there.
Terrifying.
The man just started clawing at the door like an animal, shrieking and pounding, yelling horrible things, obscenities, threats, stuff he can't bring myself to repeat. Jordan's dad throws his whole body against the door, feeling the impact shake the frame, yells at his wife, "Grab the kids, call the police." She reacts instantly, grabs them, covers their ears, pulls them back from the glass, trying to shield them.
Protecting the kids.
Yeah. He keeps his eyes locked on the man, blocking the view for his family. Describing the man as wild, completely unhinged, a force of pure rage. He said the man smeared something, dirt, blood, I don't even know, across the glass as he banged, tried to force it open. A horrible, viscous smear.
Just pure nightmare fuel.
He has no idea how long he held that door shut. A minute, 5, it felt like forever. Time just distorted again. The man seemed to have unlimited energy. It took all my strength to keep that door shut. Muscles burning, his only focus, protecting his family. He was fully prepared to fight the guy if the glass broke, ready to do whatever it took.
Primal instinct.
Totally. But before the glass could break, the police arrive. They must have come around the side, because suddenly, within seconds, 2 officers are inside the house, running towards the man. Commands muffled by the glass. One tackles him from behind, takes him down. The other helps restrain him. A struggle just feet away.
Thank God they got there.
Right. He said the rest of the night was a blur. After the man was secured in a police car, officers took his statement, this unbelievable story. Then they all inspected the house together, trying to figure out how this guy was inside the walls and got out so fast. And they found it. A crawl space he never knew existed.
A hidden space.
Yeah, an entrance underneath the back porch that you wouldn't know was there unless you were looking. Hidden. From there, it led into a standing crawl space along the foundation. And get this, a second access point through a loose panel in Jordan's closet.
In his son's closet.
Exactly. He had no idea it was there. Never did a full inspection when he inherited the place. Just a chilling oversight.
Unbelievable.
A few days later, a detective calls with a follow-up. And the truth is just horrifying. The man admitted he'd been living in that crawl space for months. Found the entrance during the off-season when the house was empty.
Months. Living in the walls.
For months. And his plan. He told the police he was planning to harm my family that night for intruding on his, quote, new home.
His new home. Oh, that's deeply disturbing.
Right. This chilling possessiveness, turning their sanctuary into his twisted hideout. Apparently, he'd also been stealing food from both our house, which we somehow did notice, and our neighbors' trash bins, slowly infiltrating their lives from the shadows.
The violation there, it's profound.
Yeah.
Your home, your safe space, invaded by someone who sees it as theirs, someone who is planning violence. It changes how you see everything.
Absolutely. If we connect this back, it just hammers home how vulnerable we can be, even where we feel safest. Our own homes, it really forces you to ask, what do we know about the hidden corners of the places we live? And, maybe scarier, the intentions of anyone who might find those corners.
The idea that this threat was coexisting with them, literally inside the structure of their home, unseen for months, it shatters that illusion of security. It taints the place, maybe forever. It's the ultimate invasion.
Okay, let's move to our third story. This one is perhaps the most baffling, the most reality-bending. It's about a summer night ritual that goes incredibly wrong. The narrator is a woman, she was 16 at the time, grew up in a kind of rural area, she says, where she could ride your bike for miles without seeing another person. Summer was her absolute favorite season, tied to that middle of nowhere feeling. She loved the warmth, quiet, and emptiness, felt isolated, but in a good way.
A sense of freedom?
Yeah, like she had her own little corner of the earth all to myself, could just disappear for hours. And summer nights were always the best, the darkness adding to that feeling of privacy and freedom. She had this friend, Taylor. Taylor was a little more reckless, always pushing the limits in small ways, looking for adventure.
The adventurous friend.
Right. So one random July night, they decided to go stargazing. This was something they did often, a ritual. Just us two, bikes, and a bottle of wine. The narrator notes, kind of sadly, that this night was probably one of the last times they did it together. No real plan, just a direction. Somewhere new, past town, some abandoned stretch of farmland where nobody ever would bother us. Pure solitude.
Seeking out the quiet places.
Exactly. They left around 10 p.m., biked maybe 20-30 minutes past anything even remotely civilized, leaving the lights behind. At some point, Taylor just stops, tells her, "We're here." The narrator wasn't sure what here was, no landmarks, just fields, but it felt perfect. A wide open field, no buildings, no fences, no cows, just a huge patch of grass and the endless starry sky.
A perfect canvas.
Yeah. So they spread out a blanket, pop open some cheap red wine that didn't taste all that good, but it did the job. They lay there, passing the bottle, pointing out constellations, Big Dipper, Orion, the basics. Voices low under the huge sky. Their main goal on nights like this, always the same. Try and spot a shooting star.
A simple pleasure.
Yeah. Taylor asks if they'll see one, voice full of hope. Narrator says, probably not, but keep looking anyway. You know, they're not that common, even out there. You gotta pay attention. But shooting star or not, it was a great night. The wine's working, blurring the edges. Narrator feels herself slipping into drunkenness, warm, fuzzy. It was the kind of night that made you feel like time didn't exist. Just this timeless bubble of friendship.
Lost in the moments.
Exactly. And then there's this weird little moment, a very brief moment that felt like a blip in the rhythm of the night. She remembers Taylor looking at her in a way that, well, made me wonder if she wanted something more than friendship.
An underlying tension.
Maybe. A suspicion she'd always kind of had, but that night it felt a little stronger. Maybe the wine, the darkness, she didn't say anything, didn't ask. That kind of thing just wasn't talked about openly where we grew up. A silent rule.
Understood.
So she just passed it off. Thought she was tipsy, reading too into things. It just passed. A fleeting thought. They laughed about something dumb she said. Light moment. Then looked up. Just in time to catch a shooting star streak across the sky.
Ah, they got one.
They did. She describes that uncontrollable reaction you have. You just can't help but laugh or shout something out into the night. Pure joy. They both giggled. Taylor tells her, make a wish. Narrator doesn't remember what it was. Probably something silly. Lost to the night. They lean back, talk a bit more. Moods lifted by the shooting star. Feeling totally content.
A perfect moment.
Almost too perfect. Because this is where reality just seems to break. The narrator closes her eyes for just a second. Not to fall asleep, she insists. Just to feel the breeze on my face. Settle further into the stillness. She swears. My eyes were not closed for more than 5 seconds. A blink.
Okay, just a moment.
But when she opens them, Taylor was gone. Like gone. Completely vanished. Not just wandered off to pee or check her phone. Both Taylor and her bike were nowhere in sight. But the narrator's bike. Still sitting right next to the blanket, a silent, accusing object.
Whoa, okay, that's instantly terrifying.
She sits up fast, heart pounding, thinks Taylor's messing with her, playing a really mean prank. But she turns 360, scans the whole empty field, nothing. No sound, no movement, just vast, rural silence.
Panic setting in.
Instantly, this unexplainable feeling of fear just washes over her, cold wave. The empty field suddenly felt suffocating. Not freedom, but isolation. Terror. The gentle charm of the night was replaced by panic, cold dread, and she noticed something else, something weird. The stars looked dimmer, like their light was muted. The sky felt off, like someone had turned the brightness down or smeared something over it. A subtle, deeply unsettling shift in reality. And the air felt colder, too. Not a natural chill, but like I stepped into a different version of the same place. An inexplicable coldness. She knows it sounds crazy, admits she's not making any sense, but the feeling was unexplainable, utterly real to her.
A shift in the entire environment.
Yeah. She pulls out her phone, fingers fumbling, checks the time. It was 3 a.m. exactly. She says that timestamp is burned into my memory and probably will be forever.
3 a.m. But she said it wasn't even midnight, just moments before.
Exactly. A massive time jump. She blinks, rubs her eyes, thinking her mind's playing tricks. It hadn't even been midnight just a few minutes ago, she thought. A total disruption of time. Yeah. She stares at the time, wonders, did I fall asleep? Even though she knew I hadn't, but I couldn't be sure. Doubt creeps in.
Questioning her own consciousness.
Right. I'm questioning Taylor. Would Taylor really leave me there all alone, though? No way. She wouldn't have done that in a million years. Trying to hold on to the logic of their friendship. She stands up, shaky legs, spins around again, calls Taylor's name a bunch of times. Voice cracking, nothing, just silence.
Desperate.
Totally. The only logical thought her brain can grasp is Taylor ditched her. But why? They hadn't fought. The vibe had been good. Really good, honestly. It made no sense. She tries calling Taylor's phone a bunch of times, too, unanswered. Just rings and rings into the void.
No contact.
Nothing. She just started crying, helpless, panicked sobs, grabs her bike, starts pedaling home, trying not to panic, but fear has this cold grip on her. The ride back felt like it took forever. Probably the scariest I'd ever felt on a bike. Dark, empty roads, utterly alone, exposed. Doesn't stop till she hits her driveway. Familiar gravel, completely out of breath and still not understanding what had just happened. Collapses into sleep.
Just exhausted and confused.
Completely. Next morning, first thing, she texts Taylor. expecting, an apology, an explanation, something. Instead, Taylor demanded one from me.
From her?
Yeah. Taylor texts back word for word, "Where the hell did you go last night?" The narrator is stunned, tells Taylor what she remembers, woke up alone, 3 a.m., assumed Taylor left. But then Taylor drops the bombshell, the twist that makes this whole thing impossibly weird. Taylor says she was the one who woke up alone at 3 a.m., and the narrator was gone.
What? The exact same experience, but reverse.
Exactly the same, in reverse. Taylor said she waited for over an hour, calling her name, searching, then biked home, angry, confused, assuming the narrator had ditched her. According to her, the narrator says, "I just vanished."
So both of them are convinced the other one disappeared at 3 a.m.
Both just as convinced the same thing happened in reverse. Two completely contradictory realities from the exact same moment.
That's genuinely baffling. How do you even process that?
They couldn't. They went in circles for a bit trying to piece it together, but nothing added up. Neither had memory gaps beyond that moment, no other missing time. And get this, neither had texts or calls in their logs that could help figure it out, even though both of us swore remembering calling each other after waking up. Those calls just didn't exist in the phone records.
Erased. Or never happened in one reality.
Who knows? It's like the event wiped itself clean of external proof. Eventually they just dropped it, stopped talking about it, a silent agreement to just not go there. But the narrator believes both were far more terrified than we wanted to admit. For months after, she'd lie in bed, look at the stars, remember that night, the cold air, the dim sky, the sheer terror.
The memory haunting her.
Yeah. They didn't stargaze much after that night, maybe once or twice. The ritual was tainted. Broken. Life went back to normal on the surface. But even now, she says, I still have no explanation for anything that happened that night. She doesn't call herself superstitious or a believer in the paranormal. But everyone she tells the story to, they immediately attribute it to something unnatural.
It's hard not to with the facts like those.
Right. She admits, and maybe they're right, but I really don't like thinking about that. She considers maybe Taylor lied, but dismisses it. Still gets this really unsettled feeling like something happened to us that night that I'll potentially never figure out for as long as I live. Hasn't heard from Taylor in years, but she'd bet my life. She too still wonders from time to time about what happened to us that summer night in the field.
Wow. This one really hits differently. It raises fundamental questions about perception, memory, shared reality itself. How can you trust your own experience when it directly, fundamentally contradicts someone else's? Especially when both accounts are equally vivid, equally convinced, and there's zero external evidence either way. It's a paradox, a literal split in reality for those two individuals. The impact isn't just fear, it's this profound uncertainty about the very nature of what they experienced. Can you trust your senses, your memory?
You mentioned earlier the idea of an unseen force. For the stargazers, it feels almost supernatural, but the narrator pushes back on that. Is there any grounded way to look at that time jump paradox, or are we just stuck with the inexplicable?
That's the core of the paradox, isn't it? Oh. Our rational minds desperately want an explanation. Maybe some kind of shared, brief psychological break. A localized atmospheric thing affecting perception. A folie à deux, but with time perception. But when the evidence itself is the contradiction to equally strong, opposing memories, we hit the limits of empirical understanding. Sometimes the most grounded approach is just admitting our reality might not be as solid or predictable as we think. The human brain needs stories to make sense. We're wired for narrative coherence. When something utterly defines that, like this story does, it creates intense cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance?
Yeah, that mental discomfort when you hold two contradictory beliefs. Here is the clash between their memories and, well, the basic laws of how time and space are supposed to work. It's truly mind-bending stuff.
Okay, so looking at all three, Chris, Jordan's dad, the stargazers, despite the huge differences, there are these unsettling common threads, right? First, that theme of just unexplained disorientation, feeling totally cut loose from what's normal. Chris is left wondering if he was bait, what was with the curtain twitch, never getting the full story on that police stakeout.
The ambiguity remains.
Exactly. Then Jordan's dad, the sheer psychological shock of finding an intruder inside the walls of his family's safe space, turning sanctuary into terror. And the stargazers, maybe the most disorienting of all, that shared event creating two totally opposite realities. No way to reconcile them.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How all three, in their own ways, leave the individuals profoundly disoriented, unable to fully piece together what happened. That lack of resolution, that's where the deep, unsettling feeling comes from. It's the absence of a coherent explanation that really gets under your skin.
That disorientation, is it just temporary? Or does it fundamentally change how these people see the world? Does your brain just file it away as weird, or does it leave a scar, a lasting doubt about your own perceptions?
That's a really key point. Forgetting, like Chris almost did, can be a coping mechanism, right? Pushing away data that doesn't fit your model of reality. But the scar, as you say, often remains. Our brains crave patterns, coherent narratives. True ambiguity is tough. When faced with something that has no logical explanation or clear end, the mind might default to extremes, believing something supernatural happened, or developing profound self-doubt about its own senses. The real impact isn't just the event itself, it's the potential erosion of trust in your own perception, your own memory. And that's fundamental to how we navigate everything. Imagine always having that tiny seed of doubt about what you're seeing or remembering.
And it's not just the why that makes these stories creepy, it's the when and where. Summer nights. Summer usually relaxation, freedom, warmth, ease. That expectation is just shattered.
The contrast makes it sharper.
Definitely. Think of the details. Chris's soup-like air, that stale, sour smell making a routine drive feel oppressive. The idyllic beach house, the family escape, becomes a horror scene because of what's inside. Or that vast, starry field should be peaceful freedom becomes suffocating, terrifying, reality-bending. In every case, that summer night feeling of privacy and freedom flips into vulnerability, exposure, a terrifying loss of control. It's like a perversion of the season itself, which leads to another big theme, the unseen threat. Or maybe, unacknowledged, for Chris, the police suggest this hidden danger at the house he just stumbled into, an invisible conflict zone.
He was adjacent to it.
Yeah. Then Jordan's dad, the threat, is literally unseen, living inside the walls, observing them before erupting violently. And the stargazers. The threat, if you can call it that, is this unseen manipulation of reality itself. Time jumps, disappearances with no apparent cause. It really makes you wonder what operates just beyond our perception.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you connect these, it highlights that common thread in these kinds of experiences.
Yeah.
The sense that something is lurking just outside our frame of understanding, a hidden variable, an unknown force, disrupting the expected order. It leaves the witnesses feeling like they only glimpsed a tiny fraction of something much larger, much more terrifying. It's not always a monster you can see. Sometimes it's the unsettling realization that reality itself might have hidden layers or forces operating outside our grasp. And that lack of explanation, that blank space, is often scarier than any concrete danger.
And the psychological fallout is huge. Fear, confusion, lasting effects. Chris almost blocks it out entirely, maybe a coping mechanism for the lack of closure. Jordan's family is so traumatized they can't go back to the house without physically sealing off the source of the terror, literally walling it off.
A physical manifestation of trying to regain control.
Yeah. And the stargazing friends, even though they stopped talking about it, they were far more terrified than we wanted to admit. They changed their behavior, avoided the very thing, the ritual that brought the terror into their lives. You see people trying to rationalize, like Chris with the delivery instructions, or just co-seal the crawl space, agree to never speak of the time jump. But despite all that, this persistent, unsettled feeling remains. Because there's no closure, no neat logical bow to tie it up with. It just hangs there, a reminder of how fragile things are.
Our sense of safety, predictability.
Exactly. These stories really hammer home how the ordinary can just flip, become extraordinary, terrifying, a pizza delivery, a family vacation, stargazing with a friend, mundane things warped into inexplicable events. It shatters that sense of security, shows how thin that veneer of predictability really is. Makes you think, what quiet moments in our own lives are maybe just a hair's breadth away from revealing something deeply unsettling? So we've untacked 3 really distinct stories. Summer nights turning from ordinary to utterly unsettling, a pizza delivery caught in a police sting, leaving a kid an unwitting pawn, a hidden intruder turning a home into a place of terror, a baffling time anomaly under the stars where reality itself seemed to split. Each one leaves us with these profound questions about reality, about perception.
Big questions with no easy answers.
Right. So what does it all mean for us when we face things that defy logic, things that leave us with contradictory memories, chilling ambiguities? How do we even process that? Do we just keep digging for a rational answer even if it feels incomplete? Or do we have to accept that maybe some mysteries just are waiting out there in the periphery, maybe just, I don't know, a few seconds away from our reality?
It's a fundamental challenge to how we construct our world.
Maybe consider this. What if the truly terrifying thing isn't the monster under the bed or the ghost in the attic? What if it's those moments when the ordinary, the everyday, just cracks open a little, shows us how little we actually know about the unseen forces, or even the unseen moments that might be unfolding all around us, right now, on any given night. Something to think about, perhaps, next time you're enjoying a quiet summer evening.